Hi, I'm Jackie Benny.
And I'm Lorne Johnson. And together we're going to be presenting an exhibition called Crossing Depths to Where Sky is Just Sky, which looks at the Syrian refugee crisis and the exodus from Syria. Jackie invited me into this project and I was absolutely flattered to be involved. Jackie, tell us a bit more about how you got involved with things originally.
A few years ago, I spent 1 day a week for 2 years at Villawood Detention Centre, working with children and parents on art classes for about 4 hours on a Monday. And obviously, I've been very interested in the plight of the refugee or asylum seeker and their need to have a home and the seemingly inability of our country to cater and provide for the needs of people. So that led towards an exhibition which I had in 2013 with Keith Chitsey at Strathfield in the Australian Catholic University's McGlade Gallery.
My old stomping ground, the ACU at Strathfield. Yep, you go.
Yep.
Sorry.
And so that was a wonderful experience, spending 2 years leading towards that exhibition, and just recently have received a position to exhibit at the Waverley Library galleries in Bondi Junction. And I want to focus on the same topic since it's still and probably will be for a long time a topic of great importance. I really enjoy collaborations.
And this is fresh for me because I don't collaborate with people. So I feel very fortunate. So thanks for inviting me on board.
Yeah, it's a true pleasure. Collaboration is what keeps, I think, for me, creativity alive. It's very difficult to work on your own, and as full-time teachers,
educating and inspiring the youth, 24 hours a day.
Working. So we need to find those opportunities to be creative, and they're often very lonely times. And the best way to be creative, I think, is to be challenging and testing each other.
And I feel that that's happened. Sorry,
working together.
And I feel that I've been challenged and tested straight away because I think this is a very hard thing to write about, and I feel that one needs to be incredibly respectful and not at all patronising. We're dealing with something that's huge like this, and we have decided together to look at things through a realistic lens, but also bring you in a bit of a surreal, I suppose, because you've been inspired by the Raft of the Medusa originally.
Yes.
And that just blew my mind. And so we were making these parallels between the Raft of the Medusa and what's happening with refugees in Syria and their movement across the Aegean. And lots of things working at once for us. But that stance or that place of respect's huge. Because I think at the end of the day, you and I are very fortunate people, living in the Southern Highlands and in Sydney, and have all this wonderful world around us. We're so lucky, and in a way, who are we to judge people who are much less fortunate than us, who are escaping such horror?
Yeah.
Anyway, I'm rattling on, but why did the Raft of the Medusa spring to mind for you, Jackie, straight away?
It's just firstly, it's an image that shows, for me, great devastation, and if you look closely at it, over time you start to see the hope in the distance. But it's almost like a timeless image. It's reflective of many groups of people who have sought asylum over many years. But also, it's interesting that it's been embraced by artists throughout many genres and periods of time as an image to appropriate. There's a lot in it.
It's a fabulous image, and there's heaps in it, and there's so many people doing so many different things. It's not everyone just in this state of intensity and horror. There's people having moments of reflection and insecurity and deep thought and whatever else.
Absolutely.
And it's mesmeric, isn't it? Wow.
Yeah, and it stimulates ideas. It's a stimulating image. And I think that because, as you mentioned, that we're privileged middle-class Australian people from safe environment.
Safe environments, exactly.
I think for that image as a way to move forward for me, and the ability to think and reflect and use my imagination gave me some sort of safe space to start with because I'm an observer. I don't experience, or I can't even claim to understand what asylum seekers have experienced or are experiencing.
You're being very respectful there, and I understand that, and that's how I feel. I found it interesting too that originally I was responding to your artwork in that sort of ekphrasis tradition, that Greek poetry tradition, but then you were bouncing off my poems. So I remember that you started off with the Raft of the Medusa and an interpretation on that with your striking, fabulous artwork, and then I sat down and in a rush of, I think, 3 or 4 days, wrote 45 poems or something, which was just remarkable for me because I work very slowly.
Yeah.
You know, it's real snail and slug pace, sloth pace for me sometimes.
Yeah.
But you really galvanised me to just push that work out there, and then I handed over all these things I'd written to you in a little green book from office work, and then you ran off with those and responded to that stuff. So it's like reverse ekphrasis, if that's the term.
Yeah, I feel that I only think I produced one image before you then went on that rampage.
Yeah, you're really slow.
Yeah. Well, once you then produced that booklet of text, I responded very well to the images that came to mind when I read your work because there's not...
Which is good. Rather than throwing the book down and go, this stuff's crap.
Yeah, there's no linear element at all in your poetry. There are layers. It's something to chew and ruminate over.
Thank you.
And so I felt... I felt absolutely stimulated by the imagery, and that helped me to move into my imaginative sphere. I have a vivid imagination, but I've often struggled with using it in my art. So I feel that for me, this is pivotal in terms of what collaboration has done for me at this point. There are other things, but that's probably, from the aesthetic perspective, something that's worked.
Good, and I love the fact that when you returned the book to me and you've done a few works which I responded to a bit more, you were then pushing me to get back onto the writing because I put my pen down for a bit. Sort of sat back and thought, job well done, but then I went, oh, hang on, I've got more work to do. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Inchoate work, that the poems aren't fully fledged, fully finished, some of them. And they're short poems, as I tend to prefer. So for me, I had to get back to thinking, which is what I'm doing now. I've got to get back to thinking about what poem to write next. You know, and I think you and I have both we've been trying to approach this in a really varied way, looking really at that ambiguity and that multifaceted approach. So I remember when I was writing the poems, looking at Syrian food, you know, and animals in Syria, and looking at things apart from just refugees and what was happening in Aleppo, etc. Trying to be quite diverse, but then in trying to be diverse, do you lose focus on what we're on about? Just quickly, the title changed and changed again.
Yep.
And I found it really hard with the title at first as to know what the hell it should be, and then we came up with the crossing the Aegean to where the sky is just the sky. The one thing that always stood out to me in a Four Corner special I watched ages ago was this young girl who'd gone from Syria to Germany with her family, and it showed her in a playground in Germany having fun, and then a plane went over the playground and completely spooked her, really scared her, and she ran off. And that really stuck with me, and I thought, wow, you know, these refugees are just wanting a place where the sky is just the sky, where it's just things are normal, there's normality. And so that was the one thing that really struck with me as the title. But then we talked about crossing the Aegean, and now we've got crossing depths to where sky is just sky. Did you, what am I trying to say? What did you think with the title? Because I know I really battled with it.
I loved the word Aegean originally. For me, it's from my art history background, it brings up a whole lot of Greek art and a whole lot of marine type imagery. But the depths, the use of the word depths is more metaphorical, I suppose, and less about a place. It's about experience and journey. And it can be a physical journey or an emotional journey or a spiritual journey when you listen to Crossing Depths, the phrase. And to where sky is just sky, I'm still reflecting on that. I'm constantly reflecting on that, and I get so much out of it because it's so simplistic in its how it's written. You know, you're speaking about from the perspective of the little girl. I totally get that. And I've thought about how we share the same sky. All around the world, we look up and we have our sky, and it can be viewed as our sky. But my minuscule perspective of the sky is from a healthy, happy perspective, looking up at a sky that, for me, is the positivity in my day.
Clouds and vapor trails and birds and different colours and all around, serenity.
Yeah, absolutely.
Capital S.
Yeah, and all around the world, we look up at what you could call the universal sky. But
that's a good title.
But they're individually perceived and experienced based on location and fortune or lack of fortune. Yeah.
So look, this, I suppose lastly, what are you hoping to achieve with our exhibition? I mean, obviously we want everyone to leave, you know, holding hands and joining Amnesty International and World Vision and, you know, helping out everyone all over the place. But that won't really happen.
Well,
maybe it'll happen a bit.
You and I have talked about this quite a bit, about what we both want to achieve.
What's the point and what are we achieving?
Well, I'm thinking you're going to agree with me because we've talked a lot about it.
So.
Yeah, well, I'm hoping so. That we want the audience to, and the audience will be varied. Look, we're exhibiting in the eastern suburbs, which, you know, will have a particular clientele. And possibly it being a library, which when I visited was absolutely full with people learning on a Friday afternoon. So we're looking at maybe providing some sort of intellectual engagement and hopefully some spiritual fulfillment, realisation, and an alternate way of seeing something, a topic that the media, you know, presents in a particular way. Hopefully we can open minds.
Excellent, yeah. And that's what I'm hoping to do too. And I think it was always important to me is how do you reach the person who doesn't necessarily agree with us politically? Because, I mean, you know, we are, well, I'm speaking for myself and you, I suppose too, Jackie, but very left. So how do you get that person who's more right to see things, you know, in a different way and empathise a bit more? Anyway, so there's a little bit of a background to things. And we really hope you enjoy the exhibition. Thanks for coming.